Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, and today I'm going to be talking about Guillermo del Toro's 2004 adaptation of Mike Mignola's supernatural superhero comic book Hellboy. And the film starts with a prelude set in 1944, where, with the help of Russian mystic Grigory Rasputin, the Nazis have built a dimensional portal off the coast of Scotland. Their goal? To free powerful supernatural monsters from an other dimensional prison and use them to turn the tide of the war. The plan is interrupted by an allied commando team who are guided to the island by a young scientist nicknamed Broom. They succeed in destroying the portal, and apparently Rasputin, though the two leading Nazis do escape. However, it turns out that something did come through the portal before they closed it. An infant demon with a right hand made of stone. Broom adopts the infant, who 60 years later has become Hellboy, the primary, though by no means only, field agent of the BPRD. That's the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, a secret organisation that Broom now heads. FBI agent John Myers is transferred to the BPRD at Broom's request, receiving the pithy summary of his new job. There are things that go bump in the night. We're the ones that bump back. The arrival at Myers at the BPRD coincides with a sudden surge of supernatural menace in the form of the demon Samael, who returns twofold every time he is slain. Samael is the work of the recently returned Rasputin, who has been resurrected by the supernaturally youthful Nazis he last worked with in 1944. The trio plan to pick up right where they left off, intending to make another attempt to open the portal and bring interdimensional ruin to the world. It's up to Myers, Hellboy, and the other agents of the BPRD to stop them. So apparently, Del Toro spent years having this project rejected by various studios. Executives disliked the title, the script, and even the planned casting of the main role. More on that point later. The title would prove to be an ongoing issue for the film even after it was released. Some theatres refused to host the film due to the name, while others retitled it in their publicity material to Hello Boy, which I think evokes a much different kind of movie. Some major toy stores also refused to carry the film's products due to the word hell being in the title. This is only 20 years ago too, wow. Now, perhaps these issues contributed to the film's fairly anemic box office performance. It returned less than 100 million worldwide against a budget production of around 60 million or even more. But I don't think it was the title alone that led to the modest audiences. The film does have some notable flaws. But before we get to them, let's start with the positives. Ron Perlman's performance as the title character. Now, as I noted earlier, studio executives disliked Del Toro's selection of leading man, but the director stuck to his guns. Not only had they successfully worked together before, but he was confident that Perlman could deliver subtlety and nuance through the heavy makeup that the role would require. Now, personally, when I heard that Perlman had been picked for the role, my immediate response was, this is an excellent choice. I suspect the executives' reluctance came down not to his ability, but to star power. They probably either wanted to anchor the film with a bigger name, or somebody younger and cheaper. Vin Diesel and Jeremy Renner were both apparently considered for the role, for instance. But I think Perlman was the right choice. He's very good in all aspects of the role, convincingly portraying not just the gruff, tough, demonic superhero, but also the conflicted foster son trying to live up to his adopted father's belief in him, and the awkward would-be lover of his colleague Liz Sherman. While the transformation of the normally confident to the point of arrogance Hellboy into an insecure bundle of nerves around Liz is pretty much movie romance 101, Perlman does a really good job of selling it. He's really, really good in this role, and he is the right Hellboy. Unfortunately, a hero is very much defined by the villains he overcomes, and it's here that the film's flaws begin to appear. These flaws are not one of concept, mind you. Rasputin is a recognisable name to utilise for a supernatural menace, and like any right-thinking person, I am more than happy to watch a bunch of Nazis get their butts kicked. No, it's in the execution that the villains fall flat, and there are two principal issues. The first is that when you look back on the events of the film, many of Rasputin's decisions and tactics don't make sense. Some do, I have to acknowledge, and are reasonably smart even when they ultimately backfire. But others only make sense if the character has seen the future, or, the script. Now, Rasputin, the character, certainly believes he can see the future, but his failure to predict the film's outcome rather undermines those claims. And it is the film's final outcome that also falls flat for me. Rasputin is simply no challenge for Hellboy when they finally face off, even after being possessed by the spawn of the entities he plans to serve. When your supposedly terrifying final enemy goes down with about 1/10 the effort it took to kill its minions, you've got a narrative issue, I think. Now, Del Toro made labyrinths a recurring motif of the film, using them to represent the movie's theme of trying to make the right choices to reach your desired destiny. In his words, a labyrinth, it is said, is not a place to be lost, but a place to find yourself. Now, in practice, in this film, I don't think the motif really works. Yes, Hellboy and co. end up exploring a lot of literal mazes and labyrinth, and also they make decisions that affect their final fates. But I didn't feel that those two aspects of the film felt particularly connected. Possibly in part, this was because the physical labyrinths in the film are more like the goofy death traps of a video game than a coherent part of the narrative. If you remember the scene in Galaxy Quest where Sigourney Weaver complains about the ridiculous chomping machine and how it was a stupid episode in the first place, it feels like they're straight out of that, frankly. There are some good ideas in Hellboy and some good performances, but to me it feels like the film's just assembled wrong, and ultimately I didn't find it to be particularly satisfying. Next time, in the 1980s, Satanists were everywhere. Or at least they were in the 1987 horror film Lurkers. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.